We have a star economist with us now, the gentleman on the right-hand side of your screen, Ken Rogoff. He is the former chief economist at the IMF. Let me look towards next year, if I may, Ken. I'd like to see 3% growth for the United States. Can we get there?
I think it's plausible. I think the U.S. economy is doing fine. The question is, will the rest of the world have a, pickup? Europe slowed down, and China probably slowed down a lot. I'm optimistic Europe could pick up. That would help us. China, who knows? I think if the trade war can get resolved, things could be pretty good.
Okay, so what about interest rates? The Federal Reserve is going to tell us today whether they're raising rates now, and they'll give us some indication of whether they'll raise them next year. The consensus seems to be, yes, a rise today, but go easy next year. Are you in line with that kind of consensus?
Well, if I were them and could backtrack, I probably would be waiting right now. I think the risks of over-tightening are greater than the risks of going too slow. But that said, they have this communications policy. They have broadcast this. They have said they're going to do it. And I don't think there's anything out there, nearly strong enough to make them backtrack. The question is, what are they going to say about next year? How are they going to recognize this slowdown, particularly in China? I think we will see something. That said, I think there's a fair chance the global economy could pick up next year, and we could end up seeing 3 hikes, but that would be fine.
Now, the global economy could pick up next year if we get a settlement of the trade fight. I take it that's a big caveat here.
Yeah, and more generally, who knows what's going on in China? The data is very murky. I think it's clear they've slowed down quite a bit more than the official numbers suggest. They have real problems. They have for a long time. You can't just, grow to the moon. They may have hit peak housing. They have trouble expanding credit. They need to strengthen their private sector, and they haven't done that. There are ways they could do very well, but there's, every chance their slowdown will continue.
Amongst the major economies in the world, is America the standout, the best performer?
Oh, easily. I mean, the U.S. has been the country that's outperformed this year. Europe has sort of gone back to normal, really. It was growing very rapidly last year, at the beginning of this year. And I think all the big action is emanating out of China and Asia. That's where all the uncertainty is. And I think I've been on your show before, Stuart, and I certainly would have said China was the biggest risk to the global economy, and that's doubly true today.
Now, I don't know whether you're going to go to Davos in January of next year. I suspect that you've been frequently.
I am.
Oh, you're going. What do you think will be the impact of President Trump? Because he's going, he announced that today, I think, and he's taking most of his cabinet with him. I think there'll be a big impact. I think he's going to say, I told you so. What do you think?
Well, I think it's very positive having him go there. He sort of has this thing about not wanting to engage the global economy. But when he goes to Davos, he's very much in sales mode. And the tenor of his comments last year were, very different than what he says out of Washington. For example, last year he said, well, maybe I will sign the Trans-Pacific Free Trade Agreement. He didn't. But, maybe I can, think about some things I wouldn't normally. So I think it'll tend to be positive as far as the rest of the world goes. Whether this is, just an act for them and doesn't have any significance, you can decide.
I just want to see him shake things up, as he always does. Ken, he does. I just love it. I mean, I just like that kind of thing. I'm sorry, but I do. Ken Rogoff?
Well, I can understand that from your position.
Yeah, exactly. Ken Rogoff, thank you very much for joining us, sir. And we wish you well in Davos with the President. Thank you, sir.